meeting to order, Parks Commission, Thursday, October 17, 2024. Katie, would you please take roll?
Karen Mao.
I am here.
Liz Lasky.
Here.
John Beach.
Here.
Tim O'Connor is excused. Lainey Rozga.
Here.
Karen Peltola is excused. And Sean Wojcicki, absent.
Okay, has everyone looked at the agenda?
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion approved. I see we have no citizens for public comment tonight. So would anyone, has everyone looked at the minutes? Anybody want to approve those?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second them.
Motion carried. Okay, correspondence. I had some correspondence from Jen Teller. I didn't print it, but she had some issues with finding our meetings online, so I sent her links. But her other concern is she wants to know the specifics of the negotiations going on behind the scenes with the lawyers from the city and from Morton's. But I responded that there were negotiations going on, but we had no information about any details. So,
I thought your responses were very well done.
did you see that?
I did.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just a note, we've switched city attorneys now, so that, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I know that the new attorney probably will be looking and reaching back out to Morton and see if we can conclude to some things.
Okay, thank you. I'll let her know. Or she may watch this and she'll know anyway, but I'll forward that along. Thank you. Does anybody else have any? No? All right. Moving right along. Committee reports. Tim is not here. I did look at Duffy. It's been about a week and a half, but did you put up a new stop sign, Jeff, on the north side of Duffy?
Yes.
I noticed. From Washington Street, I could tell that the red sign was brighter, so yeah, thank you. That looks really great. And that's all I know about Duffy. But, and Sean isn't here. So I did not get by Morton or Reitz. Did anyone happen to?
I did go to Reitz, and thank you, the tree is gone, the dead tree.
Is it really?
And it's weird, but it's like I walk around my parks and there's not litter everywhere. And every time, like in the spring, it was like I was picking up bags of litter everywhere I went. And all of a sudden the parks are clean. So I don't know, everybody's maybe respecting them more or whatever, but it's just kind of weird.
We can hope.
In a good way.
That's great.
Well, I will tell you that it's different every year when we hire summer help.
Okay.
And it's always a little different when they can start and how long they stay and how good they are.
Yeah, maybe
But
that's-
we've got a handful, 5 or 6, I think, that are still working. And they're not working full-time, but part-time in between classes and other jobs.
Okay.
But that's helped us, and the kids that are around are doing a good job. And,
maybe-
you know, they kind of learn to pick up on that stuff. And then if we can get them back the next year, they're already up and running and trained. And so, but it's always an ebb and flow.
So the 9th Street boat launch looks the best I've seen it in decades. All except for the boat launch itself. It's hazardous for trailers. Those, I don't know what they're called. They're concrete slabs, you know, that go down into the water. There's like gaps. And if somebody gets their, I don't know if they could get their tire in there or what. And then there's, at the end, because of the water level change, there's a big drop off. I don't know the solution. I don't know how you make it right. I just know it's kind of hazardous for trailers.
Usually the fishermen will call us and alert us to those type of things, and we'll sprinkle some gravel in. And
Yeah.
but I'm not aware of any complaints received recently.
Well, I had someone complain to me. Granted, it was a little bit ago, but it hasn't changed, so they, I don't know, maybe they thought it was good enough.
Yeah, we'll dress it up.
Yeah. What else? And then, Mac Park, the painting has been done. Looks good. definite
The Parks
improvement.
Department did that.
Oh, you guys ended up doing it? Oh,
Looks really good.
yeah.
We used the leftover paint that somebody gave us.
It
back.
looked nice, yeah. The only thing I noticed missing was on the slide, there's the real ladder that goes up to the slide, and then there's like a swinging ladder thing on the south side. And there's 3 chains that attach it to the ground. One of the links is missing on the middle chain, so it's not attached. That's the only thing. But yeah, everything looked good. They had some litter, but that wasn't much. So,
We should get that
so,
gallon of it.
but it looked, everything,
Another gallon.
yeah, it looked really nice. So, oh, looks, thanks.
Thank you. That's awesome. That it? Okay, so I guess that's me next. I just went by Lighthouse Park. Did you guys do some work over there? Because last time I noticed there's a new baby swing, and I went up to it and I actually took a selfie and I hugged it. I was so happy that you guys put the new baby swing because the old one is really nasty, but it looks really good now. And then I noticed there was a board that used to be like up an inch off the. It just, you know, you step on it and it bangs it, but it's not that way anymore. So I didn't know if you guys did that or someone else came in with a screw and.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
I explained a while ago, this is the time of year where we're in between winterizing, we're kind of catching up on those little things and.
And it's such a little thing. I thought you
Yeah.
guys are never going to remember that I even ever mentioned that, but you guys did, and that's awesome. So thank you. And then I noticed the tower. Did you guys paint that as well? The red circular tower on top of one of those?
I don't think so.
Somebody did or cleaned it up because I have a picture from July and it was you know, needing some touch up here and there. But today it was like pristine and beautiful. So I think somebody's been out there doing it, but it wasn't me. Wasn't you?
I don't know if it was us or not.
Somebody's
they've been
touched it
buying-
up and it looks
Yeah,
really
they've been
nice.
buying paint, so I wondered if they were doing other projects, maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, it looks really nice. And there wasn't any, like Lainey said, there's no litter
Yeah.
anywhere. There was a child's sweatshirt laying around somewhere, but no litter anywhere. There's still got those octagonal picnic tables in the back that are a little wonky. They're not level. That I like things, you know, neat and organized. So, but other than that, Lighthouse Park looked great. There was one family there. There's not as many people using the parks right now. It seems it's slowed down a little, but they are cleaner. And then Rotary looked great. The only thing I remember from last month that there was some weeds in between the sidewalk, you know, sections, and and there was some mulch strewn around, but either the wind has done it or you guys did it, I'm not sure. But now the weeds are dying and there's no mulch laying on the sidewalk or, you know, leaves and such. So.
Yeah, we sprayed all that.
Did you really? Thank you. See, you guys are on top of everything.
Well, we sprayed it, we let the plants start to wither where we thought it got down to the roots, and then we went and pulled them. We did the
looks
same
really
thing at the
nice.
tennis courts.
Yeah, it looks really good. So, and then the disc golf looked great. So I don't know what to say, but everything's looking really good. And I could not find anything to suggest. And there was no one really to talk to get feedback, but it was just really nice. So
That's okay.
I tried to improve, but I just didn't see it.
All right.
Oh, the picnic tables. The octagonal picnic tables. I guess that's the one thing I noticed. They're still not level. That's it for me. So, I'm sorry. Your turn.
I had the Lions Pavilion, and the lights all work overhead, the windows have been washed, and that was a big improvement. And there's not screens in the windows, but I don't think they're needed there. I mean, you open up the windows, there's no need to have screens because it's open on the other side. The planters are still working. We'll redo those for Christmas a little bit later. At some point, we should paint those cabanas. Those are looking a little, that they need some paint, but not yet this year, but that would be something that should be done. The lichens were removed, I believe, off those benches facing the channel there, and those benches look better. They were all covered with kind of lichens. It looks good there. Those, natural, like Trex benches or plastic or whatever.
Yeah, those were power washed.
Yeah, they look good. That helped. And there's a bush down there by the river that kind of blocks the view. That would be nice to trim. It's got like an invasive vine growing over it. And you had talked about the other day the other stuff trimming, and so at the same time, maybe that other bush could go. Some of the picnic tables, and I know would be a good time of year to mention it, that one particularly behind the pavilion, the boards are warped on that. So, and those picnic tables are used a lot, so that would be a good thing to fix the warp boards on that.
Yeah, we do the picnic table maintenance in the wintertime.
Right. So those are the ones that would need it. And, let me see, where else were we? Okay, the one thing that's down there, there's that bench directly across, I think it's Van de Vussie's, bench, right in front of that power station. You're sitting, I mean, all the other ones have views and there's enough seating down there now. That one's right in front of that big electric station, right across from that fish cleaning. The bench is so warped, it's hard to sit on it and the location is bad. So I don't know I don't know if we could just move it because the bench is so warped and it has a name on it. But that bench, it just looks awkward right there because it's in front of that power station. So if we could remove it, and I don't know if we have to put their name on something else or contact them. I know he's still, the bench, I don't know that bench is still usable because it's so warped. And no one sits on that one. I mean, at least I've never seen them. So if we could.
Somebody that's taken the minutes to this meeting complains about that bench to me every other week.
Oh, thank you. She was nodding. I could tell she knew exactly where it was. Yeah.
I think that
Good, I'll help you.
might be time.
We can do it.
I feel like Liz had somebody to talk to.
One day Liz said, someone's gonna get electrocuted sitting over there.
Like, your brain's gonna get fried. Something's not right about that
I thought that was
location.
funny,
So,
'cause that's how you would feel sitting
yes.
there.
So good. Okay, thank you, Katie. The new benches at First Street Beach have really been well received. People are commenting on that. They are using it. There's older people watching their grandkids said that was a
The ones
real
around the
plus.
playground?
Yes.
Well,
Older
and-
people watching sunsets. I have never gone by there and not seen those 3 benches being used.
So, and I think I've told you guys, I was inspired by the comments we heard in the master plan, the beach master plans, and I thought, oh, that's an easy one we could do right now, so.
It worked, and
Good.
that's been really nice. Let me see, what else was there? The bathrooms, you're probably to deep clean those, they have been used all summer and they look like they've been used all summer. The bathrooms need a lot of work down there, especially at that First Street beach area. Just a deep clean. Now, I looked at them about a week ago, so maybe you got in there, but just, they're full of sand, they're full of other stuff.
Yeah, they're closed now
Yeah, so
for the
those,
season.
yeah, those
And
look
people
rough.
are now going to the bathroom in the hallways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
I wonder if you should put a porta potty there.
There's porta potties.
Oh, they're ignoring them?
At the First Street Beach?
Today was at Fifth Avenue, but,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, just so you know, all the bathrooms are winterized. They've been blown out and they're closed now for the season.
Okay. And then, the marina, those lights on those poles, they're the brown poles, not the white poles that are kind of up above and they lead down the steps. Those don't seem to be working at night. They're on posts, they're like permanent lights there. And it's kind of a safety
I don't
thing.
know if they're turned up. I think they just need to turn those on. If they're not on, they might not be on.
They're on photocells.
Yeah, look and check those out. And then, the bathroom still looks, the paint's still good. When you cleaned it when it was redone, the sinks were spotless. They looked like brand new sinks. They need to have that same treatment again. They do not look as brand new anymore. And, I saw them, how well you cleaned before. I think at this time of year, especially with the Christmas coming in, sleigh bell and everything, and probably more use if the other ones are closed. So the bathrooms at the marina, the sinks could be cleaner. And, yeah, the marina, the lights and the sinks, and I think that's it. Done.
Great, thank you.
Well, I have to confess, I did forget to do my inspection. I don't think anything is much different. I still need to get down and talk to the ladies there and make arrangements to do some landscaping on the front of the building there, get some kids to volunteer and have their sweat equity involved. North Beach access, again, I gave that before. Veterans Memorial, there are some flower beds there, and I'm wondering if perhaps at some point we might discuss whether or not it's a good idea to maintain or keep those in place because of the, maintenance on those.
So if you don't mind, I'll give you a couple updates on two of those. Sands Park, the tennis courts have been removed, and the sidewalk was poured along Robinson Street. Actually, in at least in an interim, I think that where the tennis courts were is going to end up being a great place for the MRA to practice and even play some of their youth soccer and flag football. They're always looking for places. I think Liz has noted that they go put cones and stuff out in the softball fields, but I think that might be a cool little place for them to use until it's developed into something different. And then at Veterans Memorial, we have an arborist that works for the Manistee County Conservation District is meeting our landscape architects there at the end of this month, and then the tree commission is going to also participate. And basically, we're going to go through that park, and they're going to identify trees that are recommended to keep, that are healthy, landscaping shrubs and so forth that are enough to keep, and then the rest of it through November, December. As we have time, I'm going to have my crews going, and we're going to cut and clean and kind of prep it all. The redesign of that park is underway. We just got the grant agreement from the DNR this week, so we'll be putting that on the council agenda for the first week in November, and we'll be bidding it this winter, and big things to come in the spring.
Is that when they do the work in the spring?
Yeah.
And that's basically the boardwalk?
It's redoing the walkways. It's adding a ADA accessible pathway all the way from the northwest corner down to the band shell and the kind of the pier levels. Those piers will be replaced, and some new walls and new landscaping, and hopefully we can add lighting to it.
Are you referring to the flower beds that are along the road?
Yes.
I think a different group maintains those, correct?
Flower beds along the road.
Like where there's signage.
Where the signs are on that?
Yeah, the veterans group.
Yeah.
The one thing is that they
Maintains
have
that.
poppies in there, and those poppies, when they bloom, it's beautiful, and that means a lot to the veterans. So you got
Oh,
to
okay.
be really careful. There's tons of poppies that are amazing.
Yeah, and then when we were meeting on the beach master plans yesterday, Sammy from Manistee Tourism said that they have some enhancements that they would like to propose and pay for, but I'm not sure what those are yet.
Maybe the benches, but I think Ted Ahrens had volunteered to pay for those benches that need replacing.
Great, that's going to be exciting to see how that turns out. Is that it, John?
Yes.
Okay, and Karen also is not here. Do you know anything about the softball diamonds, Arthur Street, or Manistee?
Jeff may.
Anything?
Well, we've closed down the boat launches also, so you can still launch. The paid tubes have been pulled and the machine at First Street is off. Bathrooms have been shut down, but there's porta potty. Incidentally, we had the best revenue at the boat launches that we've ever had. It beat last year, which beat every year before that, so that's good. Softball diamonds, so I know you're going to talk about the beach master plans, but one of the things that was talked about in the group yesterday was, and I think it's important for the full commission to kind of think about this. We don't have to have decisions right now, but we have two softball fields at First Street, and the big question is, do we need two? Or do we need any? I think we certainly
You need the one.
something. And, you know, up until, I don't know, 5 years ago, they seemed like they weren't used hardly at all. Like the leagues had died off. The seniors came in, and there's been a lot of desire and a lot of investment and improvement by a lot of different people, the city, the volunteers, and the groups to improve that, at least the north field. Catholic Central used to use that south field. They're closed. The Manistee girls used to use it. They have their own field now. And last year, if you asked me, there was only usage on one field 3-4 times a week. Now we had two different leagues this summer, so the fields got used more. And then there's the kickball league. But I think the big question is, do we need to keep that south softball field, or should that land be repurposed and master planned for something different? So I know that the landscape architects are going to show an option for that. And at some point, we're going to need to discuss it and kind of make a decision and see what the community thinks on that.
We should probably ask Eric Hummel too. He knows Eric would know if is there any need for the MRA, maybe projected need or something. Because I think the programming is increasing, but we'd have to make sure it's used.
I know that came up once before in a meeting here about possibly thinking about doing something different, and I think it was Karen Peltola that stuck up for it and said, yes, it's actually used for softball.
Yeah, I've always known it, like Tuesday and Thursday nights. I forget, maybe for a couple months during the summer, they do the co-ed baseball or softball. So I guess I'm surprised to think that it isn't being used, because that's what I've done.
This year, it got a lot more usage than it has the past several.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, when you're master planning a park, you think about the highest and best uses for the community at large. So I'm not advocating one way or the other, but
Well, you gotta think, is it something that, if it's only one, could they schedule, usage
Right.
over several nights? So it's really being utilized on one and
Right.
the other can be repurposed.
My first thought is,
Said. Eric was kind of saying, one thing that he was envisioning was like at the soccer fields, like they have in Traverse City. We don't have that, but more, 4 fields are better than one. Pickleball, four pickleball courts or 8 are better than, you don't want just one.
right.
So maybe that's the same with softball. I don't know.
It is, because they do
Softball.
double headers.
Yeah, so,
And so that's how they limit it to 2 nights a week, all the teams playing. And that's whoever, I don't know who runs it. I just go watch my nephew, that's all I know.
Well, what if we ended up doing something where there was online scheduling of playing fields, then it would be easier for people to figure out, different leagues and such, how they can fit everything into the single field if it comes to that. Because right now, maybe it's just more, I don't know,
as a
random.
parent, you have one kid here.
Were you saying, Larry, that both fields were used at the
Yes.
same time, same night?
Yes. And then they turn around and switch, and that's, they had problems with the lighting too. But, they're a group of young people. They're not as effective as senior ball players are gonna be, how to get things done. They just play through it all. And, so, it's been a good thing. But, yeah, they play, I know they play, it's a shorter season, it's not all summer, but I don't know, I guess my thought is it would have to be something really, really awesome that you would give up something you've already developed and is used, even if it's only used 3 months out of the year. It'd have to be something really, really great you'd want to replace it with, and I can't imagine what that would be. Because your beach is only used really, a lot of our parks are underutilized during the
Other
off-season.
seasonal.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is it seemed like I recall a recent meeting where there were problems because there weren't enough practice fields and stuff. and they talked about Sands Park, how that needed better maintenance so it was more usable. And I think it was somebody who was, came here and spoke. But I can't remember, you know, it was maybe 2-3 months ago, so it's been a while. So,
It's worth a discussion anyway, right? To see what people think about it and how it's used, and if we can hash that out, it'd be good to see what,
well, and see what the community wants.
exactly, so. All right. You got more, Jeff?
I guess it kind of rolls into the next one. So, the federal economic development grant we got for the south main port of the Riverwalk, you know, the upgrade from Spruce Street down to the US 31. The engineers designed it, put it out for bids the first time. We received no bids. They put it back out for bids, changed the dates a little bit to try to make it more inviting. We got 2 bids. They weren't serious bids. They were double, triple, quadruple the project estimate. So we've taken a different approach this time, and I'll try not to get too deep in it, but I think you would appreciate the money the grant money is federal money, and federal money has a lot of strings attached. State money has all grant money has strings attached, but the federal stuff has quite a bit. And that project has carpentry work to replace the boards. It has electrical work, it has some concrete work, it's got some landscape work, but there's pieces of a lot of different trades. So our belief was that there wasn't any one contractor in northern Michigan that wanted to be the general contractor, actually build a small piece of it, but then be responsible for everybody else and go through all the federal paperwork and all of that. So our third try is we divided the project into multiple bid packages so that we have a electrical package, we have a structural package, you know what I mean? And then we have a landscaping package. So I think there's 4 different, what we call trades that we bid out separately. And then I think those bids are due at the end of next week. And if they come in and the numbers are favorable, then we can award them as a group and still maintain the federal requirements.
So then are you gonna have to be responsible for overseeing that whole project?
Yeah, we kind of act as like
Yeah.
more of a construction manager.
Right, so,
That's what my degree's in, so I'm not afraid of it.
right,
That's gonna increase your workload.
yeah.
And the engineers, yeah. But
What a brilliant way to get around that.
Yeah.
Smart.
we're trying. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing success, but I think this gives us the best shot.
And you said that's from Spruce Street to what part?
Down to 31 Bridge, basically to the east end of it.
Wasn't sure which direction you're going from Spruce.
Then also the Riverwalk. We were able to get permits and hired Zoop and Crane to remove that net shed. We have it temporarily stored down by the boat launch. We were able to drive, I think, 14 piles to resupport the compromised section of the Riverwalk and make it safe, and we've had that reopened for about a month now. We actually had a meeting with the Corps of Engineers here, and they brought about 14 people, and we walked them, we explained how it happened, we appreciate the work they do and everything, but we asked them to consider, you know, reimbursing us for that expense, and then we're going to need a plan for a long-term improvement, which essentially will be replacing a lot of that Riverwalk with new. And again, so people understand that Riverwalk, when it was built, it's all that wood construction, and right now it's all over water. When it was built on land, and all the land has slowly eroded into the river, and now it's river. So the significance of that is it was not built on piles, it was built on wood posts. And those posts are only embedded probably 8 feet into the bottom of the river. And in order to withstand the Corps of Engineers dredging that federal channel, they need to be 40 foot. So what the way we resupported what's there, we had to put 2 piles on either side of the Riverwalk where every post is, and then put a joist underneath it to support it. But those posts are every 5 feet. So if you look at the cost of driving all those piles every 5 feet versus removing everything and putting those piles at 10 to 20 feet and then spanning in between them, it's cheaper to build new than it would be to resupport what's there. So we're going to spend the winter time working with the engineers and trying to figure out what the long-term solution is to that, and then we're going to have to figure out how we fund that.
And then how much of the Riverwalk is going to require that type of attention?
Well, we really need to analyze its proximity to the navigation channel. So the navigation channels, I could have brought an overlay, but it's fairly straight, if you will. The riverbank kind of meanders, the Riverwalk meanders along the riverbank. So we've got to do cross sections and look at if the Corps dredges to that depth and they suck soils down from, up to the shoreline, what sections of the Riverwalk currently can withstand that and which ones would be susceptible to being compromised. And then all those areas that are susceptible, we would need to replace. But it's likely from Cedar Street Marina, like the end of Tamarack Street, down to behind the last house on First Street. It's probably that whole stretch.
Is it the same kind of design that's currently there, where it's going to be the pressure-treated lumber that can't be power washed, or?
Well, what we've bid in the EDA project is, I think I've discussed this before, it's called a kebony. It's a natural wood, but it's treated with natural wood alcohol to make it pest resistant, mildew resistant, and rot resistant. And then you can power wash it, then you can scrub it and clean it, and it's safe. So it's different than the treated lumber of old. Today's treated lumber doesn't contain the chromium arsenate. I said that wrong, but it's CSA, chromium sulfur arsenate. So today's pressure treated lumber is even better than the old stuff, but we're trying to do something that's more maintenance friendly. And I actually poured water on a board and ran across the room, and it actually gets sticky as it's wet as opposed to slippery. Like the treated lumber still grows some moss on it and gets slippery. So my hope would be that we would stay consistent with those materials,
That's nice.
but it's going to be expensive.
That was the way to figure it out. It seems pretty daring to just wet it and go running.
Well, we did a test section when that section of the Riverwalk down towards the end of Cherry Street, when that washed away, we did a test section. And if you walk that, you'll see that there's a different type of material on the walkway. And that's actually it's a PVC material. And the PVC is kind of like the Trex of old, but Trex is plastic with wood fibers. And the old style tended to warp. If you look at Arthur Street, the railings warp and sag, and it's just because of the type of material it is. The straight PVC is very rigid, and we wanted to test that. So we did, I think it's 110 feet of that we did, and it seems to look good, seemed durable. I actually went out there in the rain and took off running and tried to skid. It was very skid resistant, very easy to maintain. The problem was that when the bird scooters were in town, they did burnouts on it and they melted it. And so there's permanent scars on it. So when we started talking about the downtown, the city manager said, I said, well, that was the pilot project, and that was our intent, was to move forward with something like that through the rest of the Riverwalk. And so we discussed that, but that's susceptible to that melting. And then, so we started exploring other products. We looked at Ipe, which is the hardwood from the rainforest, but that's very expensive, very expensive. And then there's the whole stigma of cutting down rainforest for it. So then we had the engineers explore other options, and we think the Kebony is a naturally beautiful wood and would be classy in the town. So that's kind of where we arrived at.
And the stuff you mentioned, it gets burns in it, is that the black marks you see on that section, that can't come off at all?
No. What we're gonna try to do is flip the boards over and see if we can make that go away, but it's a different system. Like, you don't see any fasteners in there, there's no screws through it, they're hidden. So we internally, we've got to figure out how to do that and then flip it, but that's on our list to try to do. I
Is that
think
everything?
that's it, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that brings us to the beach master plan. I know Jeff was there, Liz, John, myself, all went down to separate times to hear about the feedback, both from the stakeholders and from the community, and they kind of synthesized all that. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because almost everybody has heard a little bit about that anyway. But does anybody want to like synthesize what was talked about there? I had to leave before we were done with First Street, but.
I'll try to summarize it. So I think, number one, we got tremendous input from our stakeholders that we had 6 individual meetings with, group meetings. Those were tremendous. We had a lot of participation and a lot of good feedback from our public stuff that we did down at Fifth Avenue in the morning and then First Street in the afternoon. And then we did that community survey, and we got a very good response on that community survey. And quite frankly, if you look at the responses, they asked specific questions, and you kind of got to pick or choose or vote. Then they asked a lot of open-end ones. The open-ended ones, there's a million different opinions, right? But it's interesting, if you walk through those, you start to see very consistent themes. And the themes that I saw were, make sure what we have is well maintained and clean. We want more walking areas that are not adjacent to the roadways. And don't build too much stuff on the beach itself, because we're here for nature and the beauty, and we don't want too much on the beach. Is that fair? So I think that my takeaway from the meetings were that we had this week were Spicer's heard that. They kind of threw out some just concept areas and things, and then they're going to put those into drawings, and then they're going to present to the community and then let people react to those. So, and then there'll be adjustments, and then we'll come up with our master plan. And then once that master plan is adopted, then we all need to roll up our sleeves and look for ways to fund them and start implementing portions of them. The last master plans, there's a lot of things that got implemented, but not everything. So those are always just an evolving, working document, and kind of gives you a goal to work towards. But one of the discussion items was that softball field, and what one of the options that they said were, if the community said we really don't need 2 fields, then we got this big open green space, and what would we do with it? And one of the ideas was a very large community pavilion that could be rented out, that could have, use that grassy area for play and activities, and it could be kind of a centerpiece of the park. And then there was, a little discussion on using it in different ways in the fall and the spring and the winter. And so I think they're going to have something there as kind of this is something you could think about, but I'm not sure I would call it a recommendation. So that's why I kind of want to just tickle everybody's brains into thinking about it and talk about it, and then when we see something, because Lainey made a very good point, like, what would I give that up for? Well, maybe there is something, I don't know.
A couple other things. I think it was brought out, what do you use the beach for? And I think it was walkability, relaxing, and swimming. And I agree with what you were saying, Jeff, because it was like, well, then, would you want these things? And they listed these things. And because we're doing a beach master plan, it was like, well, then the splash pad should go to the beach. Then the pickleball, everything should go to the beach. But I think that was because we're working on a beach master plan. Maybe the people want these things in the town, but they don't all necessarily have to be at the beach. And I thought, yeah, when you think about that, because the people like the natural, they like what we were named the best beach. And that was partially because it is such an open, beautiful, scenic beach, not cluttered with junk. But the people wanted the junk. But I think it wasn't because they were offered it that it had to be at the beach. I think, I think
Yeah.
they might want the town to have it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't all have to be there. When I looked at that, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could take out a softball field and put a pickleball complex in there.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to use it. There was a lot of interest in exercise equipment, more covered areas to, picnic pavilion type things. The kids really wanted to have a place where they could tie up their hammocks and have their own little hangout area.
Well, you could do that easily right now.
I know.
Yeah.
I am chomping at the bit to do it, but I want to make sure I do it in the location that the master plan says, so the community buys in with it. But otherwise, I would have put them in already. Because we have the pilings from the city marina, and all I got to do is drill holes, but I'm going to make that happen. That'll be the first implementation we do.
There are some high school students, not my kids, but I know that there is a group that will go out hammocking and they tie up their hammocks over near your bridge that you built by disc golf, and they just put them between two trees.
Yeah,
And
Now, do they actually call it hammocking?
they do.
yeah.
Yeah, they said they were gonna go hammocking. So,
Well, the old man learned something new, huh?
but either, I didn't know.
But
you
to
could
me,
do that.
that's a give back to the youth.
Well, sure.
And what they're doing.
Oh.
And all I have to do is rent an auger
Yeah.
Right.
and drill a hole, and I've already got the
No-brainer.
wood. So we plunk them in there, and they said, that's it. And then you just let us tie up in between them. And then someday when we say, you know what, hammocking isn't cool.
Right.
You plop them out, and it's no big deal.
Yeah,
That's how I looked at the disc golf. We could build it easy, we can let people enjoy it, and someday if that goes away, there's nothing permanent to the park.
I guess where I'm thinking I would put a hammock is under all those black locust trees by the ball fields.
Yeah, that would be kind of a cool little area too.
Feet there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but-
where is that?
kind of by Lighthouse Park and where the restrooms and the disc golf and
There.
kind of private, shaded.
Yeah, shaded and stuff.
That's actually a great idea,
I
yeah.
mean, those locust trees are awesome. You could use those for your decking.
Are they filled locusts with a big sharp needle?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're the black locusts, but they're so big, you'd have to climb 20 feet
Well,
down.
but sometimes they'll, fall.
Yeah, they'll fall. Yeah, it's the invasive species. So,
So I think the next product will be drawings that'll memorialize the discussions and the input, and then we'll be able to react to those.
The other thing that got brought up is that amphitheater, and we used to have a committee, and John, weren't you on it? I know Karen Patola, I think, was on it. And then I think they're kind of still meeting, but we're not meeting with them, and I think we should get back,
We haven't met.
okay.
We haven't met after we got the Hunden report, and it basically was not financially feasible.
Okay,
But Salt City Rock and Blues,
they are meeting still.
they
still meeting.
they are still requesting that we build some sort of a permanent stage, even if it's not the full project, some permanent stage that they can host their music events at.
and that to me would be where you want your event center as well.
It would seem like it, and that way you minimize the buildings that you're putting
Because
on
that was
your
one of the
park.
drawbacks with the amphitheater's usage. So maybe you get more usage if it was multi-purpose.
Could be.
And it'd be a lot better sitting on the beach as an event center.
You better sit where?
So the discussion was, if you've been to any events in the last 20 years where that temporary stage gets set up,
Yeah,
that a permanent stage built there would serve all the concert
yeah,
things.
right.
It could have passive use, you know, I was joking, John brings his ukulele out and plays on Thursday nights and, you know, whatever, but that could be a music setting. Shoreline Showcase could choose to host their concerts there during the summer. The drawback and the concerns that were raised by the committee was, but that's a permanent structure in your viewscape of the lake.
Yeah.
And is that worth it? Is it okay? Is it too
I
intrusive?
thought it was more like where the people fly kites.
That's where the full complex was.
Yeah,
But the current request from Salt City Rock and Blues would put it where they put their stage now.
I see.
Oh, that would be a view thing. That is nice open.
Yeah, but to me, why would they not want it where they originally planned?
I'm not saying they don't want it there,
Okay.
but we don't have power there. We don't have restrooms.
Right,
I mean, there's no infrastructure currently.
Oh, I see, they were just trying to save, okay. Well, I.
So instead of building an $8 million complex, can we spend $100,000 and build a stage that they don't have to rent it for 10 grand every event type of thing?
Right. Yeah, that would kind of, because it does, even when they set up for concerts, it does block the view. People can't enjoy that whole area, so,
Or they shut down the parking lot.
Yeah,
They-
yeah.
It's not really accessible to.
yeah, that's a
anyone
huge
who's not
drawback.
going to the concert.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
You know,
And just even walking and sit in your car, you know, if they had how many concerts a year? 4. And you sit in your car and you look out, which many people sit in their cars. They, you know, I guess
Yeah.
older. Instead of walking, you just see this big stage,
Mhm.
empty stage. I don't know. You'd have to get the community input on that because,
Or the
St.
Parks
Joe's.
Commission. Yeah.
You know, at the Riverwalk, the North Riverwalk, there's there's the band shell, and then up the hill, they have all that curb kind of cement built
Seating,
in.
yep.
Is that something that's feasible to do in that kite area?
That's what was proposed to do in the kite area with the $8 million project.
Is it that expensive
Yeah.
to do that kind of?
Well, to build the stage and the sound and power and
And everything.
bathrooms
More,
and,
modest type of stage, right? Would that kind of seating, is that the expensive part? the seating,
Well,
or-
I think we're gonna need to build a stage. And the question is, do we build it by the Lions Pavilion where we have a lot of amenities and we give up 30 foot of view? Or do we go to that empty space and start with a stage and then, you know,
and then there's question, would they cover the stage? I mean, or would it be just the stage or, I mean, and how the size would make a difference.
Well, I guess I go back to my question then. If in the beach master plan, there's some desire to have a community center, why aren't we putting it in that empty spot? Because you're gonna have to put in electricity, water, everything, bathrooms, no matter where you build it. You could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess is what I'm saying.
that was the whole goal
Yeah,
of that band shell or whatever it was, study.
yeah,
But we just can't figure out how to fund it and afford it.
right,
And the reason why we hired the consultant was, we know that if we build something, we're gonna have a $3 million project.
Right.
But could we build it more and make it a little bit better, and then sell tickets for concerts, and then pay that debt back? And basically what that study said was, no.
right. And that's why, I'm sure you guys all get it. That for a community center, like you're saying, at the softball field, well, you still have to put in, well, I guess there's electricity there, but you're still gonna have to fix everything
Yeah,
to build a pavilion of any
absolutely.
kind.
Yep.
put the pavilion there, take whatever help you can get from Salt City and, yeah, so you get it. I guess that's my,
That's a very good point, though. Yeah, that would be,
you're
if you
spending the
love the
money
structure and the concept, there's
Yeah.
another site that it could go.
And then the question is, do you
Well-
want to give up the open space at the beach for
Right.
a structure?
yeah.
I mean, we've got a beach like nobody else has. And do you want to have a structure on that beach? I mean, it's a community center, no different than the Armory or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, is that the
but,
best spot for it, is to,
well, if you're gonna hold like a wedding, a shower, any kind of event like that, it is a good spot, right? You know, if that's what you're thinking, and it'd get more usage rather than just an occasional concert.
You're talking about the kite flying area or the
Yeah.
ball field?
The kite flying area. I mean, the ball field, you know, people don't have big weddings like they did, 30 years ago. You don't have a wedding with 300 people. But there's still places in the area that support that, the VFW, the St. Joe Parish Center. I imagine, well, I guess they've taken a lot of stuff up. Those are just two I can think of off the top of my head.
Stronic Hall is a big one.
Stronic Hall.
Mhm.
Are those
Orchard
being
Beach.
used? Yeah, Orchard Beach. Are those being used? It doesn't seem like it to me, but I've never really studied it. So,
oh, the city.
That's a good point.
The city owns the Ramsdale, how many?
You've
Yeah.
never really studied it, I think is the key
yeah.
Yes.
statement that's made this evening. And I think our responsibility, at least to me, I feel our responsibility is to take all these studies that we've got, beautiful studies, and really list the pluses and minuses of all these different aspects of things that we could do and the things that we need to do.
Right. What's
Do we
needed?
need to do it or do we just want to do it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we put it in writing and then make some recommendations. And I mean, this is what I've been advocating for a while, and I think the time is right to do that.
It's gonna be really interesting when this beach study finally comes out and we get to see what they put together and what they suggest or give as options and what the community thinks about it, so.
Well, the timing is beautiful. I mean, just right on the back of that amphitheater study.
Right.
I mean, we were all concerned that we were gonna lose our beach, the amphitheater, quite frankly. Not beach, but those dunes. Well, and the beach too, Because if that amphitheater would have gone up as planned, I mean, I don't think as a local, I'd be going to the beach anymore down there. Because all the concerts that they said that you needed to have, that would have been traffic all summer long. I really probably shouldn't say that because it's a dead issue, but, I think, yeah.
It is interesting. I've just, observed over the past years how First Street has kind of become the center of activities. And Fifth Avenue seems to be a little bit more quiet, right? You've got the carnival, you've got, the clown band, all the different activities that go on.
That way,
It's
though.
always been.
Has it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Fifth Avenue just seems more quiet and secluded, and First is more.
Well, they're both, and that's one thing that master plan was addressing, was more parking even. I mean, the beaches are being used, so it's good.
More parking at Fifth Avenue?
Well, she kind of,
Yeah,
she drew
right.
that out yesterday, more at Fifth Avenue, and then
Yeah.
she was kind of talking about a little bit more at First Street even at certain spots, so, which is good, I mean, that's good. It's a plan, like you said, Jeff, the 2009 one, and I think someone else mentioned
Yeah.
that. It's kind of, some of it's pie in the sky, it's not like, oh, this is all gonna be implemented.
Right.
because
Right.
Most of it, I think all of it takes money.
Right.
So, it's just what would you desire, and if we went for a grant, then we already say this is our master plan, we were aiming for this.
And then we've looked at the master plan and we've studied it. We've included all the public input from the master plan, and then we've collated the information, the pluses and minuses for all the various aspects of things that want to be done. And we make the recommendation that people can say, well, you know, because these verbal conversations are good, but we really don't resolve anything.
Well, moving on.
Oh, one other comment, and that is, I was really impressed with your description of that, of the beach study, because it was perfectly in line with my takeaway. And that is, you know, maintenance, cleanliness, trails. And all that stuff is pretty easy to do. Well, I'm sorry, maintenance is not easy. I apologize. I apologize.
Yeah,
Okay, moving on.
yes.
Okay, events. I mentioned this last time. I'm supposed to reach out to Mark Fetter in November, right before Thanksgiving, to confirm our potential January Marina History presentation. He had to delay the May date for some family reasons, but he's still, it's still on his, it's on his back burner. When he slows down this fall, he's gonna start thinking about that some more. So hopefully that'll happen in January.
And was it gonna be on the marina and then
It was the
possibly
Marine-
Reed's Park?
I will mention Reed's Park.
Okay,
The
and then would
marina
it be at the
definitely.
marina?
It would be at the marina.
Yes, okay.
And it would be the marina's history presentation. But I will ask him about Reed's Park too.
We mentioned that, because the Spirit of the Woods at the last meeting came and they're
Okay.
they want us to know more about Reed's.
Thank you for the reminder. I will ask him in November when I talk to him. So, and the other one is movies in the park. I mentioned this last time too, but I happened to be at the House of Flavors in Ludington in September, and I saw they were having movies in the park, in that little wooded park right next to the House of Flavors. So I noticed it was the Ludington Downtown Board that had their name at the bottom. So I called to see if I could talk to whoever puts that on, just to pick their brain a little bit. She patched me over to the city police because she said the police chief is the one who does that. Left a message. I actually got a call back from the mayor of Ludington,
Same guy.
who used to be
Yes.
apparently the chief of police. So apparently
Same
he's
guy.
the one who knew everything. So he was so kind. He called me back. We talked for a half an hour, and he just told me all about the history of their movies in the park, and who does it, you know, what kind of equipment they use. Just, he was so helpful, and gave me the number to the audiovisual people that actually do the physical putting on of the event, and I still need to email them, but he was so nice, and he said it's really easy, you know, and the city, there's no cost to the city basically, because it's all done through sponsorships. They put on 3 or 4 a year. It's about $1,200 for, even if someone wanted to sponsor the whole season, a business or something, they do $1,200, 3 to 4 movies. The license was like $600 or
$1,200 each.
Oh, 1,200, no, total. So,
Oh.
yeah, the movies were like $300 each-ish,
Oh,
or 400 for 3 or 4 movies through the summer. And he said it's very, but the equipment the city just owns. They just have the equipment, and it wasn't that sophisticated.
what time do they show the movies?
They do it only in August, because the sun goes down a little later in August, and they started them around 8:30, which isn't like,
And
if you're
they
thinking.
show them through the fall, like this fall, we've had a perfect September.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, he said they were starting to stop. They had some issues once football season starts for the high school, that their attendance was
Oh.
dropping off, so they're trying to get it all pre-football season for people, but, and he said they could have anywhere from a couple hundred people to, I think I don't wanna misquote, I think it was 600 for their high. It was in the multi-hundreds, so, he's really helpful, so I'm gonna take notes on if his audio-visual person gets back with me, and I wouldn't want to be, I know we've wanted to do that for years,
Yeah.
we've talked about it. And,
I think we need to move forward and do it. 'Cause-
so many
and this is
communities
the
are
time of
doing
year.
it,
Yeah,
and they've been doing it for 20 years, since 2002 possibly.
What, Ludington's been doing this
Yeah.
for 20
He
years?
said they've been doing it
Well,
for,
the numbers you have are doable. The numbers
Yeah.
that we heard before seemed
and sometimes the
not practical.
city puts the money up front to get everything reserved, but then they end up getting reimbursed by,
Well, if you're talking $1,200 for the whole season,
Yeah,
But they
then
own
you
the
pay
equipment.
movie.
what's
Right.
that?
They own the equipment, but he said it wasn't extravagant. They had 4 speakers, and I don't know the amperage or whatever that's not me. So if we do this, somebody else has got to do that technical stuff, because I can research it, but I don't set up screens and you know, sound
So
system.
they have volunteers do the actual physical.
Yes, it's actually, it's a man who's involved with the high school, film, audio, visual department from the high school, and he comes in and does everything with a couple of his guys. So,
Maybe David
I don't know if we
Cox.
have that at our high school anymore, do we? The
I think we
I
can
think so.
get that going.
Is that David Gogstetter? or-
You know someone
You
who
might, I bet you might.
would be nice, but,
Well, I would I'm just thinking and wheels are turning, but yeah, if the high school has an AV department like that, or even West Shore Community College, or the Vogue, or the Ramsdale Theater, I mean, those are the people that already have some expertise, I would think, and maybe have some of the equipment, and yeah. This came up a couple months ago, and the city manager gave me, he said that his previous community did them, and so he emailed whoever was in charge of it there, and they sent me the link to the company that they rented the movies through and stuff, and I forwarded that to Tim, because Tim had been working on that.
Right.
yep, he sent that to me too, Swank, and it's the same
It's the
one.
same one that we
It's
all.
same
It's the
one.
same one Luddington uses as
Same one
well.
Birmingham used.
Okay.
They're all using the one company.
Okay,
And the
good.
interesting thing is that they use that company for licensing, but they just buy a DVD of whatever one they want to show. They do a raffle beforehand, and then they auction off or raffle off the DVD. So you win the DVD if you win the raffle at the end. And they have a high school youth in government, I think, group at the high school who comes in and they sell popcorn and concessions, and then they make their fundraising off of that. And it just sounds really fun. I wish I had, the last one was September 13th, and I missed it by like a week. But yeah, it sounds like.
I think that
something
would really go here. The activities for the kids and the families that are free in the parks are really well attended here. They're starting, like those story hours in the parks, anything if you do with kids in the park, that's free. You know, I think we would really get a good turnout.
Yes, and they did say that when they charged admission initially, they did not get very good turnout.
Oh.
They did some kind of a dinner and a movie thing with the businesses downtown, and it did not work out well, so they switched their model. And
I like the free family fun.
but if the city is supportive of that, I mean, if they have to upfront the $1,200 or whatever, or the licensing, that's the licensing, right? I mean, is that something the city is interested in? Because that's not coming out of our pockets. I mean, it's a
No.
little
But you like
much
to
to do.
sponsor, you know, a little
Right.
advertiser, like you could hang a banner or something. You know, and there would be a little advertising for it that you would put their business name on if someone was interested.
Right, they had a
Well,
big.
maybe
banner
once
art.
you get more information, you know, Jeff can bring it
Yes,
to the city.
There actually is a special events committee,
Oh,
good.
and the first project they tackled was Sleigh Bell, and city council allocated money towards, to upfront money towards that, so I think there's precedent, and I think there's a possibility.
yeah, just get our information together and then.
Yes. Hopefully we can swing it next year.
I think start now.
Possibly next
Yeah.
summer.
Start now.
Okay, sorry, that was that. Is there anything about, I just added capital improvements and budget on here, because I know,
Well, we did have a meeting, with Jeff, well, you were there,
oh, that one,
yeah.
that was like a month ago.
So, and I started an outline of the kind of report that we could have, and maybe I could run that by you at some point, just so you can give me some guidance as to what you think, if I'm headed in the right direction or not, or, what you think I should be doing.
Yeah, so just a reminder, like, you guys, last year created a list of capital improvements, and then we prioritized those. So right now in the parks capital improvement plan, each of those projects are listed out in year by year. That's flexible, so, before February, I would recommend you guys go through those, add to them, shift them around, but, I would like to be able to put the desired capital improvements in, or, kind of in the current order and make sure that we update it every year in the budget. And then I'm not sure that the beach master plan will be done in order for items to be included, but I think that'll focus in a lot too.
And those are listed on the agenda. I don't know if you have an agenda, they're in blue. Just the priorities that we came up with back in, I don't know if it was January or,
Well done.
I can't remember if that was the proper order. Is that the right order?
I believe it was.
Okay. But just as a don't forget about it, it's there. Does that include budget too? That's kind of all the same.
That's
thing.
good, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Can we go on to old business?
Mhm.
Yay. Okay, monthly meeting date change. I know we talked about doing that, but I think we looked into all the possibilities and it might be better just to leave it the way it is. And then if Lainey needs to miss occasionally, as long as it's not over whatever the bylaws say, I think it's 50% or 3 in a row or something like that is, I think.
Yeah, from you nicely laying out the calendar, it's just not gonna work, cause there's so many Monday holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
We need
Don't
to-
break it.
Do we need to vote on that? Or can we just,
I think you
because
have to
we're
vote
not,
on the dates for 2025.
we should?
Yeah.
Do you have all the dates?
I do have all the dates
Yeah.
written down.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do you need to see all the dates? They're just the third Thursdays.
So
Let's
is,
just vote.
typically we
Third
don't,
Thursday.
there's times we don't do the December meeting, and you have December on there.
I did put it on here because I didn't know why we hadn't done it last year. Did we just decide we didn't want to do
I
it
think
with
so.
the holidays?
I
Yeah,
The
think
holidays,
so.
we just decided on.
yeah.
So you want to just not
Maybe
do
j-
December? Fine with me.
Fine with
That
me.
would-
Anybody
yeah.
else?
Is that okay with you,
Two weeks
Jeff?
before Christmas. Jeff, did you want to come?
December 18th?
I deal with parks every day, so.
So I will make a motion that we keep our dates on the third Thursday of the month at 5:30, except for the December meeting in 2025.
And June, I don't have a meeting on there because it's our annual bus tour. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can we make that part of our motion?
sure.
Second,
I'll add that.
All in favor?
Yes,
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Do you need this, Katie, or no?
I'd give it to her.
Do you want to give it to?
And that was good not to have the
Multiple
date on that June meeting, so we can pick the date.
Yeah, so because it's technically, what our meeting date was actually Juneteenth this year, which is a federal holiday apparently, so, right?
Yes.
What's that?
Good.
Juneteenth is a federal holiday according to Google, which would have been our June
19th.
meeting. I don't
We're
know.
not federal.
I said it was. Maybe Google's wrong. Sometimes AI is wrong, so. Anyway, thank you. It's good to have that decided. Memorials, is there any
No.
progress looking into memorial options? Jeff, you weren't here at our last meeting, but we were concerned about the color of the chairs around the kite area fire pit. So we voted to, I don't know if we have the authority to do that, but we voted to pause the memorial chair program if we can do that until we figure out what's going on with our design concept.
Well, I think
Does
we,
that make sense?
we needed, wasn't just that, I think we feel we had enough chairs. I mean, we almost need another idea. I mean, we don't want,
Yeah.
we have enough chairs, so we need to either,
It's a lot of chairs.
We need another program.
we need.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And then we need to know what the program after that program.
Yes, we do,
Yes.
yes.
So
three
that we don't
programs.
run up to it and go, oh
Exactly.
no.
yeah.
I
yeah.
looked up, I spent an afternoon looking up what other people do as memorials in other towns, and the only thing I could find was chairs, benches, and
Benches.
trees. Like,
Or trees.
That's
and
it.
trees can die, so that typically towns have like a 5-year minimum, like if it dies within the first 5 years, they replace it. But after that, it's, fair game for
I
the weather,
agree.
I don't know. But,
We
But
talk
then they
about,
would put a plaque, or a stake or something in front of the tree. I don't know if we want to do that, because then you got people wanting trees, and where are we going to put them if we don't have a plan?
we
for
got a
where
good tree commission.
The trees are going.
They're writing a grant for more trees, and they've got a little, I think they have a strategic plan for trees.
But we don't want the parks to fill up with, hundreds of trees, and we don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution is.
Well, Lainey, we
Well,
had some ideas.
last time this was discussed with the Parks Commission, because I've been trying to sustain this memorial program because it means a lot to the citizens, but the last time we talked about memorial trees was in the field next to Lighthouse Park, prior to the disc golf. And we talked about creating a memorial forest in there. And the overwhelming discussion was, if you plant a memorial tree and it dies, it's gonna be hard on people. So at the time, the commission said, let's not go down that road.
Yeah,
Right.
not a tree.
So not a tree. So then it's basically benches and chairs.
Well, could it be picnic tables? How much are those picnic? Could we do something with picnic tables?
We talked about swings, the bench swings, like for big people, adults. Basketball hoops.
Me?
Are you calling him a big person?
That's why I said adults,
Adults.
Okay.
not kid swing. Mutt mitt station, tetherball, baby swing. The fish boardwalk thing, bricks and boards, picnic tables, table games, horseshoes.
I don't think anybody's going to memorial.
Mutt mitt. Hey, if your dog died,
Well, maybe. If
yeah,
Dog.
yeah. I don't know. Those were just some ideas.
I mean, you
we
could
had.
have a list, like a table game like those, and they talked about that, in that master plan, like the big Jenga game. Some of that, they were talking about she talked about a cement ping pong table. And you could have more than one person go in.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, do the memorials pay for the
yes.
chair
Yes.
100% or more than the chair? or-
100%.
People really like the benches. That's the most calls that I receive is the benches.
Yeah.
They want the benches.
Well, if you already have the,
Forever either.
if you've got enough benches, I mean, you've got enough benches,
Got enough
right?
benches.
Well, that's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
The chairs are working well, but,
There's a limit to
Yeah,
a good
It's a
thing.
lot with what's down there right now.
and everybody wants them at First Street. So if somebody
Yeah.
just said, put them at Ninth Street boat launch, people aren't gonna be happy.
Oh, and the other thing was,
There's some
you were
people that
here-
live over there. If they live in that area. They
Well,
too.
that's just it. I don't know what you offer them when they ask, but we have other parks. At the lighthouse, no, the one you're supposed to, North Trail, whatever it is.
North Beach access.
Thank you. Some chairs would be nice there because the end of the path, like in the middle of the path, if you're, 80 years old walking along there, you need places to stop and take a break. And there's the porta potty there, but it'd be nice. People are bringing if they're having a picnic, all their stuff goes there. Some chairs or benches there would be nice because they're sitting there waiting for their ride.
Okay, I'm gonna be the bad guy.
Good.
Do it now.
People want to see their chair
Yes.
on our beach.
Right. I know that.
We have enough chairs already there. You can't do that. But if you want to buy a chair and have it so that you can see it whenever you go someplace, you can have it over here.
Here.
I mean, everything works that way in life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why can't we do it with this too?
Well, you could ask a couple people when they ask,
I mean,
see what they say,
and if people
and let
don't,
us know.
Well, just as an example, we said, they would call and say we wanted buy a memorial chair, Adirondack chair, at the Lions Pavilion. Well, we have enough along the channel, there's enough along Lake Michigan, but we were thinking about putting some chairs around a fire pit.
Yeah.
And people object, no, they objected.
Really?
They
Okay.
objected until one person said, okay, and then we bought a couple extra chairs. And then when they could visualize it, then they were like, okay, that's kind of cool. Then a few more followed behind it.
The chairs around the fire pit. The
Every-
people paying for the memorial?
Yeah.
And I mean this with all due respect, but when people have it in their mind that they want to do a memorial, I remember my dad used to sit here or used to fish there. They want to do something that's proximate to their memories.
Yeah.
we
And
have
so-
fishermen at 9th Street.
Well, we had the same thing happen at Fifth Avenue, and
Yeah.
a chair showed up. So that's why I'm saying, I think if we had a couple different programs, they don't have to be massive programs, but if we just kept thinking of ways that people could memorialize loved ones, then, then might have some options, and those phone calls are tough for her to take.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How much are those picnic tables? Do you remember what do you call them, the power coated or something,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
blue ones down and say at Morton Park?
Well, I guess what I'm
How much are the,
saying is that if we have enough chairs in a certain location, then we have enough chairs in a certain location. We cannot accommodate you.
Yeah. It's right. at that
But
point.
we can do this as an alternative.
Yeah.
we offer other locations.
So,
Price. We can't find a nice thing for $350. That's why those chairs work. Anything else, the basketball hoops, anything else we need costs more money.
Right.
And so, they don't wanna wait till you get two people and they might not even wanna share it. So that's where that's hard, is the price point.
Well, how much,
How much
the
are the
chairs were
benches?
more than that, right? Were they 400 or 5?
there's like, I think the memorial's what, 550?
They pay $450. It's $450, yeah.
Okay.
We basically, whatever the item is and the plaque, that's what you pay.
How much are the benches?
So really, they're not making a contribution to the city. I mean, people can come, especially if we don't need them.
Right.
If we need them, it's a contribution. If we don't, it's a memorial for them to put out there. It's like a cemetery. It really is. I mean, I'm sorry to be
Those-
so crude about it.
I think those Adirondack chairs added an asset to
Oh, no
our
question
park.
about it.
And I love them.
Yeah.
But now we got enough.
Yeah.
So now what's next and where?
Okay, can I just say, I forgot, you weren't here at the last meeting, but I wanted to tell you the North Carolina Aquarium reached out to me after I called them, because Sarah Herberger from the Community Foundation brought a picture. She showed us, do you remember the boardwalk that had the fish
The fish, yep,
embedded in them?
yep.
They gave me their contact for who does that, but of course, she said in Michigan, you can't do corian, the fish are made of corian, like your countertops,
Oh.
and engraved and then embedded in and it's actually, I think it's timber tech, which is like Trex, right? Boards, but she said, you guys up there, you need to do bronze, cast bronze. And I don't know how much that is, but, and I wrote down, I didn't bring it, sorry, how much their fish were to adopt a fish, I think they called it. But I don't know if that's something we would ever want to do, where you have your
I could see that
boards that you can put
actually
your-
more doable.
Bronze comes in blue as well. Their fish were blue, but I didn't know you could get bronze that's blue. But I didn't follow up with researching that because I didn't know if there was any place for that in the city to add.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of new techniques, whatever they are. Now, Johnson Sign, we used to pay $15,000 for those park signs, and the last ones were, like $1,500 because we weren't using, well, anyway, there's just different techniques. So now they use, a special laminate that's weatherproof and durable, and so I'm sure that we can find, like, I thought that was a pretty cool concept, and
It's really cool.
Especially now that we're doing all this boardwalk work.
And
And
we
they
have
even
more
fits.
walking paths.
They even put them on the railings, like if there was a Trek style flat board on the top of a railing, they could put the fish
so
within that too.
So many years ago, actually when the Riverwalk was created, the DDA contributed like $100,000 to a Riverwalk maintenance fund. And over time, that's been depleted and nobody's ever put money back into it. To me, those memorials could be used for something like that. Like,
That's what I was gonna ask.
like if you're buying a fish for $20, whatever they are, $50, but somebody's paying $500, you put that money in a maintenance fund, and then when it's time for us to do some upgrades and stuff to it and repaint the railings and whatever, that's a way people can self-sustain it. They can still have their loved one along the walkway. They can still visit it every year. And it doesn't take, we don't have to pick them up, move them around, store them.
And the fish were in the hundreds. They were not cheap fish because, you know, they've got to pour them and engrave them and embed them and,
So when you really,
I would like a beautiful fish that's durable.
yes.
So I think we can research that. And
what you're really talking about is recognizing a contribution that goes beyond whatever it is that we have.
It's probably more lasting too.
Yeah,
And then the city would benefit from it
okay.
in
So
addition to the family.
You would
Yeah,
set up a
yeah.
separate like activity fund for that.
well, there's already a fund. I think you just, the contributions, the excess contributions, this is just a thought off the top of my head. But would just go into like
Right.
as a maintenance fund as an example.
I like that idea.
I mean, it's kind of like the same concept you guys are doing.
Anything, I don't.
Could
I
be
mean, they even do
lighthouses
bricks.
or
We were in
Yeah.
Milan a couple weeks ago, and you know, those bricks, and U of M
Yeah.
does that too, just
Right,
bricks
right.
that are all.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
about.
bricks
yeah.
work, and it's just someone's name on a bricks, or it's the class of 2024 buys one, and, you know, they're just durable forever, but like the bricks also served a walkability. It's a
Right.
certain area was just all.
Could be a way we build pathways and sidewalks,
How about that?
you know?
Hey, that's not a bad
Out of
idea.
bricks, and it's, they
Because
match.
that's a very popular thing, you know, the walking paths.
Yeah, the
You
walking
Build
path
some walk,
was-
and then you could have, you know, like you said, bricks along the way. And then they could walk. Good idea.
Okay, well, I'll reach out to their vendors who do that and see what they have to say.
And then we should also contact like U of M or Milan or whoever, there's so many cities that are doing those bricks, and just compare the cost of those compared to a fish. You know, you might find out, because I don't mind the idea of.
My experience with, and I have very little experience, is that they do those brick sales for a project.
Right,
Yeah,
Because then you gotta order the bricks, have them
right.
engraved.
engraved, and then they all show up. So that could be something that helps us with a capital project.
Right.
But we need something that we can do, like the benches, when it's once a month or 3 times a month, yeah.
Oh,
Let's find out about that, because like some of those towns, the bricks are not engraved, they're laid out, and so the city might have to outlay initially, but you're gonna outlay anyway for a walking path. They're laid out, and then it's not like they're all done and all named. Probably, where we were recently, 80% of them had nothing on them yet, but the bricks were all there.
Do they just come with their little engraver and sit out there on the
Well, I don't
sidewalk
know,
and
or
engrave?
if you-
Well, there's
they
gotta be a
replace
way, there's gotta be a way that you could take the whatever information and epoxy it to a brick or something, just like you would do with the Riverwalk and,
Yeah, there's gotta be, they're
There's gotta
doing
be
it,
a
other
way.
towns are
Yeah.
doing it,
yeah.
so.
Well, you could have brick and then like have a piece of granite with an engraving on it to make it special. You know, in the middle of the project.
I mean, they're permanent, but I think they're somewhat reasonable too. I mean, for the city, and you don't want it to be.
Well, I like the idea of the fish.
I didn't
so are you still thinking that somebody who calls, you know, just however many people for a memorial right now wouldn't be inclined to purchase a brick for a walkway that we're planning?
First of all, I'm just spitballing,
Sure, right.
but for me, if I'm doing a memorial for a parent or a grandparent, I want to know where it's going,
Right,
because I want to be able to visit them and see it.
yeah.
So right now, you basically say, we don't have anything. Do you take their name and number? So if, because you could, because we are actively
We're in the
working
process.
It's
on.
like a
Yeah.
wait list or
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the process.
let you know when we have our next.
I usually
meeting.
tell them to check back with us.
Okay.
But let's say that we did develop a plan for a walkway,
Yes.
and then you say, well, we're building this walkway, and we can put your contribution to the walkway, and we'll have a memorial, whatever, with the name of the person that you're trying to, memorialize, and, that's what we have now.
And we're working
Well-
on it, because we're doing,
I don't know if that,
the master plan was calling for more.
He has room.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of, and you
I
got
mean,
Riverwalk on both sides.
you
We've
can
got a lot
have
of
it.
places that need walkways.
well, the
Well,
other
to
thing,
start that maintenance fund.
the other thing too is,
That you're rebuilding.
they always say that you can raise the money, the funds for the glass cathedral, that big, but try to pay for a dishwasher.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a harder sell. Well, maintenance fund for the Riverwalk, which is a good idea too, but I'm going for the easy sell, which is a capital improvement. I don't know.
I did notice, there was one city's website, I was just randomly searching everywhere. They did say, we have temporarily paused our memorial program until, such and such date. We have enough trees. I think it was trees they paused on, so. Would it be a benefit to put something on the city website under Parks Department or wherever the memorial thing is, that we're temporarily paused our memorial program until the next?
I move to figure it out and come up with a proposal and a plan by end of the year.
Yeah. And I wouldn't publicize that we paused it yet, because like you're telling them to call back,
Yeah.
it puts a little more on your back, but,
Yeah.
I mean, we've
We're
got a
gonna
lot
take
of great
the-
ideas and,
just, yeah, tell them the truth. We've got enough beach
Okay.
chairs and
Yeah.
got enough benches, and we're working on our program right now. And we have some great ideas, but we're not ready to tell you.
we should be able to, come up with something by the end of the year.
Yes,
Okay.
Anybody second the motion?
I second
Do we need to vote? All in favor? Come up with something by the end of the year? Aye, aye.
Okay.
Motion passed. Yeah. I feel like there was something else. You okay, Jeff?
Gotta get this guy home.
it. Yeah,
Okay,
moving
we're
on.
so close. Okay, Duffy Park concessions, Eric Thummel came to our last meeting, gave some ideas, and we had met with him individually too about, consolidating some fields in different parks and where he thought there might be need for, he'd love to do a soccer complex, have something separate for softball in another location, and, that's a big conversation to probably have a meeting about and try to hash out something. But the other thing was the concessions at Duffy. I know we didn't get there for fall soccer, but the senior grad bash committee, which I recently joined, said that they were interested in doing that in the spring. So I said I would look into, are we gonna be able to do that in the spring, if that's an option? Because there's the equipment currently in there.
Jeff, whose equipment
Yeah.
is in there? Is it MRA's or is it?
Because they
So
think
they
it's
will
yours.
take it out.
No,
They
it's
think it's-
theirs. They called, it's theirs.
Okay.
It is?
We don't have anything in
So
there.
are they gonna
Okay.
take it out then?
Did they?
I'm not sure what they did with it.
Okay, because originally
I think he
they
was
thought
gonna
it
try to get it working. I thought Eric said he was gonna get it tried.
Okay.
Is he gonna get it working in a different location?
Striper?
Not location.
Yeah,
He
stripers.
told us he would take it out.
Okay,
He'd store it
That he
elsewhere.
probably did.
but there is a group, at least one, and they thought there were other groups at the high school interested possibly as well in doing some concession selling out of there in the spring, so. Is it only MRA that has access to that? If they get their things out, who would go in and clean it? I don't particularly want to clean it, but would that be,
Well, it is a parks.
if they get their equipment out, could your guys?
It's never been used, so
It shouldn't be too
Does
bad.
That
probably
question's
full of
never been
dust
answered.
and,
I think if somebody wants to use it, they need to clean it, and
I think.
when they leave, clean it up.
Is there any specific, like, I- someone mentioned there might be rules about what they can and can't sell, any group. Can they do hot liquids? Can they not? Is there anything they have to abide by?
That's
I
the
guess?
health department.
I would think that's a health department,
Health
whatever is
department.
required by the health department.
So we don't have any,
The city just follows health department
have to
rules. Yeah.
We just require them to adhere to the health department regulations.
okay. All right, I'm glad we figured that out. And Lions Pavilion, are we ever gonna look into getting that online? Scheduling?
We're not getting that report either on how much money or the rentals either.
That's my fault, sorry.
Can you say that a little louder?
She said that's okay.
I think they should just send that to us. It's not your,
I usually have to ask, but yeah,
Okay.
I'll get it to you.
But yeah, is there any potential of setting up a meeting with the rec desk to find out if there's a way they could help us with our needs of scheduling such a small?
I'll bring it up with our IT department.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
And I know Eric Thummel of the MRA was also interested in potentially doing something as a joint software companionship. I don't know if, they have need, obviously, to schedule their events at locations, but
He already seemed to have some software that he was familiar with.
it was Rec Desk because he
Yes.
used it at the pool. He
Yes,
was
he's
responsible
already
for that, and
Okay.
they're looking into that as well. But if we could somehow coordinate with him and see if there's a way.
I've extended the olive branch already.
Have you really?
Mhm.
Okay, I can stop
Months
talking
ago.
then.
Months ago, that's,
Okay.
sounds good.
Nothing came of that?
No, he seemed interested. I said, well, when we start looking into it, let me know, and maybe we can partner with the MRA.
Okay,
Okay, good.
all right, thank you.
Sounds great.
That would be nice. And the other thing, I don't know what the other thing is, forget it. Okay, new business? So close. Did you, Jeff, happen to procure the paint from Gilroy's for future use now?
Mm-mm.
Could we? Are we able to?
I think there's just 1 gallon left.
It's
now.
it, there's just that one,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Thank you. And then at the last city council meeting after the parks report, council member Jim Grabowski asked about weeds at First Street.
Sounded like you took care of it.
They were gone before you made the comment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I mentioned I would bring it up. Okay. Over by the gazebo and where they do concerts.
I thought he was,
He asked me, I said I didn't remember us speaking about that in the meeting, but he is talking about where they hold the concerts with the gazebo down at First Street. That whole area, he said, is full of weeds, and what were we going to do about it, basically? Or were we going to do something about it? So I didn't know what to answer to that. It's just a weedy area, isn't it? It's got grass,
It's all
it's got
sand,
sand,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what can be done with that, shy of developing it somehow, but I said I would bring it up in a meeting and see.
I remember years ago, there was talk of like some kind of shrubbery around the perimeter that might help with the sand and make it look better. That's all I remember ever talking about.
If it's prone to sand, can we just pile in some sand and make it, like a big sandy beach extension in that area? I mean, if that's what nature wants it to be, is sand, can we just make it sand?
I'll wait and see what the beach master plan recommends.
Well, and
Good answer.
you're gonna meet with those people to look at the river walk. You know, if you could mention, you have this area that's nothing but sand, you
We,
might have some recommendations.
I was this close to pulling the trigger and topsoiling that years ago
Oh,
and seeing if we could
Yeah.
make it work. And I chickened out. I'm
Yeah.
glad I did.
Yeah.
We did do it around the softball field, or not, I mean the tennis courts. If you remember, that was all the same condition. We topsoiled that. It turned out okay, but it still builds up with sand. So It's just tough. You can't mow it. You'd have to hand weed whip it all and
I'm sorry, did you say hand weed it?
hand weed whip.
What, okay.
Weed whacker?
Yeah. That's all you can do. You can't drive equipment through there.
No.
So, honestly, I was hoping for the recommendations of the beach master plan, and then I think it's an empty space that could be reutilized for something different. And
That area isn't used very much, is it?
I don't know, I've been to concerts over there and maybe it's just me, but the weeds never bothered me. I don't know.
well, I think it's more in the back because we bought a 4-wheel drive mower just to mow areas like that around the
Yeah.
pavilions. But when you get towards the back where that road used to go through, it's just all sugar sand.
I don't know.
Have to go look. I can't
But
remember.
it's a dune area, so, you know, if you want nice green grass, that's what they have in the cities.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Does anybody have anything roundtable?
I guess I'm just asking, because the Spirit of the Woods came to us, in your work at the city, have they approached anybody at the city level regarding Reed's Park?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so
Okay.
it's good to know. All right,
They gave a very nice presentation at the last meeting for
yeah.
just a background of what they hope to do with
Yeah,
Reed's
Katie
Park.
gave me the handout. I walked through it.
Bravo.
So they, have good,
Intentions.
big, yeah, and when you said, you need to go to the city, so that's why I'm asking. You'll let us know when they do.
I think they were waiting for guidance on what we thought they should do, but that was kind of Karen Peltola's project, I guess, contact. But she hasn't been here for the last couple of years, so.
Can I make a comment about this weed business? I think this would fall in the category of, at least according to the studies that I've read, of Parks Commission responsibilities of developing a maintenance plan. And then if somebody wants to bang on Jeff about weeds, well, the Parks Commission actually decided that this is the maintenance plan for that area. Just a thought. And if the Parks Commission decides, well, we better put in a bunch of topsoil and put in grass seed like in the big city and pay a bunch of money for water and irrigation,
Mowing.
and still nobody has to do what we recommend anyway. But it could be a way to deflect the criticism at least.
So, then the last thing I had was kayak rental thing. You had mentioned, like last spring. Whatever happened? Is there an ending to that?
Um,
We're doing some research.
I don't think there was overwhelming excitement and support above me.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, okay. Well,
But I don't think, I think that will be a discussion in the upcoming budget cycle.
oh. So,
That
when
was
you're
also-
referring, because the budget cycle, that's like we're building it, not a rental unit, like Karen had brought.
Well, there's different levels, but the highest level was like a $40,000 payment from the city to the vendor.
Okay,
The vendor then brings 12 of those rental cages,
okay.
and I think they're in groups of blocks of 4. And then we determine where they go, and then we receive 50% of the revenues going forward, and there's no future cost on our part.
That was kind of discussed
The
yesterday.
other thing I think Bill heard back from council was, well, it's an unbudgeted thing.
Yeah.
It's not, it's kind of a sudden thing, so let's talk about it. And then Arcadia just installed one, and we were kind of gonna see how they reacted to it, or how they thought about it.
I imagine after the bird lake issue, people might have a bad taste.
Well, the thing that was kind of, we discussed yesterday, it might have been before you got there, Jeff, at that other, when we were there at the parks, that Manistee might be at the point now, because there are people running legitimate businesses that are taking the kayaks, delivering them to
Yeah.
the Little River or whatever river you wanna go on, the Big River, the Betsy, wherever, a pickup and a drop-off. But maybe if we talk to them, they would deliver them to Man-Made or to the beaches too. Just let a private person do it and offers paddle boards, and that's how they do it, say in Florida. You just call them up and say, hey, we wanna go tomorrow, and, you know, they'll give you like 4 or 5 choices. And then they just deliver them, drop off. It's their insurance, their kayaks, their problem.
We had 2 agreements like that before that didn't work out.
It did not work. People didn't use them, or the people didn't come through delivering them.
One of each.
Okay. But Manistee's a little bigger and a little different now. It's kind of more, but maybe it still won't work.
The last one that we gave permission to was 3 years ago, and they didn't. They just didn't fulfill their
The vendor did
anything.
not.
Was it the one out on, the one that's currently in business now out there, that,
I'm not sure.
yeah, I was just curious, because it just seems,
Do, like, they'll haul, but they don't do canoe, kayak rentals, paddle boards or anything. You
And that
have
was
your own
mentioned
plan.
in the beaches master plan.
they do rent the kayaks, yeah.
Okay.
Some of them do, yeah, around here now, they are renting.
Because the only one I know that's local is the one that just will haul to places.
Yeah, there are a couple of those.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
Liz? Nothing? Anything else, John?
Nope, thank you.
I'm done too, so. Anybody want?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Ready?